Hello and welcome. This is part one of a two-part series for the lowest combat sins of the file of completion. On screen now you'll see all the pre-quests and levels for being able to achieve this goal. This isn't really going to be a series diving deep into everything that goes on. We're not going to really go into much detail about the mechanics. It's more just a documentary type of video to show the people that were more curious on Reddit. Firstly, we had to look at what was actually needed for the quest, just figuring out what skills were needed and what bosses need to be tackled. A lot of it was just theory crafting methods around those different bosses and seeing how we could do them with minimal XP. Then it came time to execute those methods. Mainly it was just ticking and recoiling what I could, or brute forced a bit of RNG in other areas. That was the last requirement to actually start a Taste of Hope, so now we're actually able to get on and get into what we've been planning for a good while. After finishing this little side boss, we was finally able to unlock the Evandis Flail. This meant it started the boss fight for a Taste of Hope. It was now to start finding out what methods we had theory crafted was going to work and what wasn't. We did find that tick eating was possible, but then with the special attacks, it was just figuring out a way to sort of mix a balance between not only tick eating, but also avoiding the boss. And finding a rotation which seemed to work. So after trying what felt like hundreds of times, I just couldn't seem to out DPS his heals. So I was under the impression that if I maximised my mage defense, that would give me a better chance of surviving, because I thought that the more time he splashes, the less heals that he gets, which means I could just then out DPS him and start to wear away him. But that obviously didn't end up being the case. It was actually the opposite effect that seemed to work out best, which was because every time he splashed, I would then have to tick eat, so that would heal me up, but then he would hit like a 9 or a 10, and then I'd heal on that, or he would heal on that, which ended up being worse. So what seemed to be the best option was go for the lowest mage defense possible. So having full armor with as much DPS as possible, which meant that every heal that he'd done would end up being like a 1 or a 2, which I could, after 2 or 3 tick eats, who heals 3, I hit. I think my DPS ended up being just slightly better. So although it was a long fight, it was actually somewhat possible. So we finally finished phase 1, got onto phase 2, which is when he sends in his guards. So it's 2 NPCs, a lot lower level, but he still does his special attack. So there was 2 NPCs, as well as looking out for his special attack. They're both melee, so it just wasn't possible to tick eat for this, so I had to figure out a different method. What I did find is that his special attack hit them. So when he sends his attack, just step one back, heal. I think that was a chance there. Heal up, and then just use that to constantly do damage while using the food that I brought in to just keep myself alive. You can stack them up, so you can only tank one at a time. And this was what I found to be the best method for dealing with these. So that was finishing phase 2, going back to phase 3, which is just exactly the same as phase 1, doing the same method, just tick eating and hitting when I could. As you can see, the sweets I was going through was just crazy. I think I ended up spending about 60-70 mil on sweets alone just for this one quest. But saying I have the lowest combat since the father seemed to make it all worth it. Now we're on to phase 4. This is an exact repeat of phase 2, so just the 2 guards come out, does his special attacks, just using those to DPS it down. At this point in time, I thought that the best thing to do was just wait for my HP to regen by itself. I've got the regen on, so it just makes it a little bit faster, so it's just keeping up that momentum, trying to save as much food as possible. Last hit, this is the end of this phase. It gets on to the last phase for this boss. This phase he only has 100 HP left. He does melee only, so that means no more healing, no more tick eating, so now this is just brute force. So this was my first time getting to this part of the quest. I hadn't had a chance to really go into ideas of how to tackle this bit. But I slowly just found out that the best way to do it was just run around the room, healing when I needed to, and then just taking a hit, and that way I can only tank maybe 1 or 2 hits, just healing up above that max to keep me safe. With this last hit, that is a Taste of Hope completed. That is the lowest combat, I believe, at the moment. I don't think anyone's got close. I don't think anyone's even really attempted it. It's not really something to go for. It doesn't give really any benefit other than just for the fact of being able to do it. I did get quite a bit of help throughout this whole process, so I'd like to give shout-outs and credit where it's due. So big shout out to Ritz, or aka Inverse. He helped me with a lot of the theory craft behind everything. He watched on screen share like hundreds of hours of attempts. So massive thank you for him. Another big shout out to G Moreno. He was the one who made this account with me. He was one that sort of came up with the idea of trying to do it. And then from there, the idea just span into what it is now. So without them two, I don't think this would have been doable or possible from sort of my own ability. So massive thank you to both them and anyone else that I haven't mentioned that gave me sort of motivation and ideas on how to get it done. I think you can see me on screen now just struggling to find where the trapdoor is. I think I was in a bit of a panic moment trying to figure out where it is, but there we go, finally get there. But yeah, everyone involved, thank you very much. It's been a challenge, but keep an eye out for part 2. I'll try and get it done a lot quicker. Hopefully in not another 6 or 7 months. I'll try and get it done fairly soon. Try and get it towards the end of the week or early next week. So once again, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.